And welcome back everyone to the recap of the penultimate round of the Sligo Chess Festival. I stand corrected. Many people have pointed out that I pronounced the tournament incorrectly, so it's Sligo, not Sligo. Just for the record, now I know. Today I played against Adam Collins, who is one of the Irish local players, one of the strongest upcoming players. And I had the black pieces. If we look back at the tournament history so far, I've won all of my games with the white pieces, but did struggle a bit from the black side to actually win my games. And one thing which I tried to do, and which actually worked pretty well today, was that I tried to switch up the openings as much as possible. So as you can see, today I played e4, e5 with black, which might surprise a couple of you who are watching, because e4, e5 usually has kind of a reputation that it could be a bit more drawish. But I worked out quite a few lines where I can, actually play for a win, and where my opponent is going to have a hard time to just get a safe position out of the opening without any risk. Before in the tournament, I played the French and I played the Sicilian 2 times, so that was kind of the idea to switch it up. My opponent was still prepared, and he went for the 4 knights, but now not d4, which probably has the most drawish reputation, and it's probably the most difficult to get something out of there. But I also had some ideas prepared in case he goes for this. However, most of my preparation went into the Ruy Lopez, because this is his main repertoire. So this was definitely a bit of a surprise. And I did not really prepare it. I just, even in the previous rounds, I was kind of thinking about playing e5 as well. And I always had in the back of the mind that if my opponent goes for bishop e5, then I would just play bishop d6. And honestly, I've never really checked it from the white side, maybe a little bit some time ago. But there are only a couple of things which I think you should know here, which we'll get into later. And apart from that, I think this is a pretty playable line. I also like to play bishop b4 with black, and I would consider this my main weapon, which is very solid. But the problem is that white can basically force a draw here with bishop takes e6, and some people are going for that, but I think it goes something like this, and there's just not much going on, as you can see. Like there's some lines there. Even I think there was a game in the World Cup, YE I think played this with white, and someone got into trouble. Maybe YE was black. I'm not entirely sure, but someone got into trouble here with black. Anyway, I went for bishop d6. Which just protects the pawn on e5. It does look a little bit awkward because I cannot develop with d6, but I will soon move my bishop again, and then I'll be able to play d6, as we will see in the game. He went for d3. I did not know in specific like which move orders I should go for. I thought a6 to include that immediately should not be bad for me. Short castle. And now a3, which I think was sort of the last move which my opponent still knew. And the only important thing here to understand from the black side is that if white hasn't castled yet, you should not play h6. Because if you go for that here, then white will play g4. And it's actually very dangerous for black, because now after taking, white will have rook g1. And if the knight moves, then bishop takes h6, and black is probably just lost immediately. So that's why I played rook e8 first, and he went short castle, and now I can go for h6. Which just avoids any knight g5. Once the bishop is on b3, it also avoids bishop g5, and it's just a very, very useful move in general. Yeah, I was wondering in the game if you could do something else here. Actually, knight d4 apparently is the best move here. I did not really know that. Also, bishop c5 is possible. So, generally there is probably quite a bit of room here for black, and you can do many things. Knight d4 in those positions, I was never so sure here. It's definitely playable, but if white gets this f4 and e5 quickly, then it could be a bit dangerous. But probably I'm in time to counter with d5 quickly as well. Anyway, I went for rook e8, short castle h6. Bishop e3, now bishop f8, so now the whole setup makes sense again. He went back bishop b3 immediately. Anyway, I'll maybe play b5 or d6, and the bishop is not really doing much on a4. So d6, h3, and now I went for the move b5, which, yeah, looks a little bit strange perhaps, because I'm not actually attacking anything, and it's probably not also the best move in the position. I think there's a direct transposition to one of the Ruhr-Lopez lines. If I just put it on the board, in the anti-martial, there's this line, which I'm about to show you. Short castle, bishop e7, d3, b5, bishop b3, d6, and this is what I mean. Short castle, knight c3, and I think we can get like a direct transposition into the game here. h3 and bishop f8. I think this should be the same position like we had it in the game. But of course, b5 is a little bit of a strange move now that I look back to it, because there should be some more useful moves. Maybe I just went for it because I knew that this position should be okay, and I also thought b5 is okay because I'm just gaining space on the queen side. But like, for example, in the game, I was mostly thinking about bishop e6, which would be another alternative. That might have been yeah, I wouldn't say better, but more logical. Actually, what I was thinking turns out to be pretty okay. Bishop takes e6. I only thought about rook takes e6, and I thought that here white is a bit better with c4 to come next, which is correct. But I did not consider f takes e6, which is possible. But also this doesn't seem like white should be worse or anything, just a playable position. But I did not really want to ruin my pawn structure if I don't have to. Also, knight d5 was critical here, and actually interesting that the move I was thinking about, knight b8, is not bad, because now the knight on c6 was misplaced, and I can go to d7, play c6 sometimes, and the position should be equal. Also, this should be playable, but I thought that white maybe could have some pressure with the two bishops. But yeah, so bishop e6 would have been another possibility, but I went b5, now knight d5. Actually, here g4 is a nice possibility for white, which we both didn't really consider, but the computer says it's possible, which is not like a completely rare idea. There are these ideas in the Spanish as well. In the game, I thought I could just go bishop e6, but yeah, the computer says that this can be played with white, and actually is quite dangerous. If the rook moves, then f4 will come next. So g4 would have been a nice idea here, even though white has castle already. But he went knight d5 and now rook b8. I think quite a nice and typical move for those positions. The idea is that I want to prepare knight takes d5, because if I do that immediately, then I'm in this pin. So rook b8, he went knight h2, which surprised me a bit. It looks a little bit awkward, but he wanted to open up the diagonal for the queen and maybe go for some f4 ideas. Something like c3 I thought is more natural, but now I will get what I wanted. Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, knight e7. And if the bishop moves back, then some knight g6, then c5 will come. And I thought the position should be equal. Also queen f6, knight f4 ideas. Generally, it's important that white does not have this bishop a7, because the bishop will get trapped here in the end. Knight e7 or knight c6 is a threat. And if bishop a7, c5. And I will get the bishop on a7 in the next move. Yeah, so he went knight h2. I took on d5, knight e7 now. That was all quite natural, knight g6. Now queen h5. f4 here should not really be so effective, because I can take and go bishop e6. And here white's pieces are a bit misplaced, and I will get immediate counterplay with d5, and I thought I should be better here already. So went queen h5, bishop e6. He has to take, and now g3. Possibly preparing some f4 or h4, h5 later on, and now d5. That was an important move. And actually, I'm already fighting for the advantage here. In the game, I thought the position should be around equal. He does have the better bishop on e3, but my pieces are also quite well placed, and I don't have any weaknesses, and I'm the one kind of to dictate the center at the time being. Yeah, he went h4 here. I thought it was critical that this should not work here, f4, because if it does concretely, then I could be in trouble. But okay, maybe I have some other moves, but I thought bishop c5 is nice. And then, yeah, white is not in time for all of this f5 business. So we went h4, I took, and now queen e8, another nice move, I thought. The queen wants to go to c6 next. Queen g4, now queen c6. Here I spent some time because I tried evaluating this position. Bishop takes h6, g takes h6, and h5, which strategically could be a bit risky. Computer says queen takes c2 is even possible. My idea was generally to play some king h7 and then to go for some position like this, which should also be playable, and I thought there is a lot of potential for black if bishop c5 and rook f8 will come. But king h7 is actually not the best here. Queen takes c2 is possible, or b4 is a strong move as well, which I did not really consider here. My opponent also told me that he actually considered b4. Where was it? I think here, which is also quite an interesting move. I did not really think about that in the game. But it's a nice idea because after taking rook takes b4, it's difficult to defend all of this with queen c6 to come. So he thought that he might have gone a4, but now queen c6, and now he does not have c3 like he had in the game. Well, with my move, there was also nothing wrong. Queen c6, h5, knight e7. Now c3, now another nice maneuver, knight c8. The knight is coming to d6, where it's attacking e4 and possibly jumping into c4 as well. Rook e1, which is kind of forced so that the bishop can drop back to c1, so that e4 is protected. But now I'm definitely already visibly better as well, because everything is protected here, and yeah, white strategy on the king side is not really bearing any fruits for now. a5, good move, gaining space on the queen side. Knight f3, and now also bishop e7 I think was a decent move. The idea is to stop knight h4, because if I just do something like this, then if knight h4, knight f5 will come, then I think white should be more or less fine. Now even he doesn't need to go knight f5 next. The thing is, I can probably never comfortably move the knight, because then knight f5 will actually come. So that was the idea of bishop e7. Yeah, it's the best move in the position. Now rook e2, it's quite difficult for him to find any moves for the time being. And here I was really optimistic, because he had 13 minutes on the clock, I had 34 minutes. But it was still not so easy for me to make any big advancements. I went queen c4, which was good, but maybe b4 asked some better practical questions. Like, I was thinking about this in the game, and if he takes everything, then he should be much worse, because it's almost impossible to defend everything. And for example, if this, I could play knight e8, knight f6, and just has all these weaknesses there. This should not be good. But we were both thinking that he can take and now make some move. But the thing is, it's not even easy for him to find a move. Something like rook e1 maybe, but this would have been probably better than the game for me, because I have a couple of ideas. Again, I could play for some ideas like knight e8, knight f6. And this pawn is now weak, and generally his pieces are not so active. White is definitely worse here. There's no doubt about that. But I went queen c4, now knight d2. And queen d3, objectively better is maybe to even go back. But okay, it did not really make a lot of sense. Now he played rook d1, which surprised me. I was expecting him to go queen f3 here, when I wanted to go to this endgame. And again, I had some ideas with knight e8, knight f6, and it could be difficult for him to keep everything covered. Still not a huge advantage, but black is certainly better already here. Yeah, he went rook d1, and here bishop g5 might have been a step into the wrong direction. I could still play b4 at this point. That would be interesting, or even stronger knight e8, which really asks some questions now. And I think here I would have had very good winning chances, actually, now that I think about it. I didn't really think about this knight e8 idea here, because I always wanted to have the option to get into c4 with the knight as well. But here it seems like he really has a hard time to keep all of the pawns protected on the king side, and it looks quite bad for him, actually, even though the computer says black is only slightly better. I went bishop g5, which I thought was natural, because, well, I'm kind of increasing the pressure on d2. Sometimes I could even think of taking there and then install my knight on c4, which unfortunately in the game then I did not do, because he went rook e1. Instead, I thought he should go queen f3, and then this, which I guess is going to be similar to the game, if I'm not wrong. Probably, yeah. Because after rook e1, which he played in the game, now I could have definitely taken on d2, which would have been probably the best chance. I still wasn't so sure here. Like, even in a position like this, obviously I have the good knight against the bad bishop, but how much is it actually going to be? Even an endgame like this, well, for sure better chances than in the game. And yeah, maybe it's not so easy for white, but I really wasn't sure, like if white does something like f3 and g4, really not so, I thought it's not so easy to do much, but yeah, I do have chances. Like if we get something like this, then it could be quite dangerous for white, because his extra pawn on the queen side is worth nothing, and I can get my king to e6 and then push f5 or d5, and strategically it's a nightmare for white. So this would have probably been a better try. Instead I went for this. Actually, I was considering if you could go f4 here. This is why I spent some time. But it was anyway quite unlikely. I was thinking about this take f5, and it just felt like it should not work for him, and I think I was correct with that assessment. Still, pretty impractical, I think, to spend that much time. I mean, not so much, but still like 5 to 6 minutes, which would have been important to have later on. Yeah, queen e2, a4, and now I was getting ready for this endgame here, which we got. Knight c4 now, and I kind of underestimated that he will just get the d-file now, and otherwise, like if he plays knight e3, then I thought if I keep 2 rooks on the board, then it could be a bit tricky here. With rook d3 to come, rook d6, still probably a draw, but practically speaking, I thought it was not so simple. So maybe I should play a bit more careful here, like something like king f8 and rook d1, something like knight e8 still possible, knight f6. Still, white needs to be a bit careful, but yeah, should not be such a big deal anymore. Yeah, so knight c4, still I think I had some chances in the game. Rook e8, probably the best try here, trying to fight for the d-file. Rook d7, rook bc8, knight e3, and this rook endgame I thought was sort of forced to come out. Which objectively is a draw, but practically speaking, I think I could have done way more here. So he played king f1 with the idea to bring the king and try to exchange the rooks with rook d2. And here there was quite a nice chance. In the game, I thought about playing king f8 here, but what I did not see was after king d2, king e7, rook d2, that in this endgame, first of all, I might be able to play rook d6 with the idea that if he takes, I'm going to take back cd. But the main thing is, which I missed, was after taking king f6, now king g5 is a threat, of course, f4, that I'm actually winning here with takes, and g5. And the crazy thing is that after taking, I take with a king. fg I thought is a draw. I was still sort of thinking about this. This is a draw because whenever g5 comes, white plays f5, and both sides have these connected passed pawns, and therefore it's a draw. But king takes g6, and I'm just in time here. King e3 and now king g4, only winning move. King f3, king h4, only winning move. I already checked this before, and now if e5, I guess h5, and white is in Zugzwang, and king g4 followed by running with the h-pawn will come. Actually, even this continues, this, but yeah, how do I win this actually? I guess king g5 is another important move, because originally I thought this, yeah, maybe this is also just enough, yeah? No, white is faster. Yeah, now even black might be in some trouble, yeah? So even here, you need to see that king g5 is winning. And now if e6 takes, and king f6, and it's over. Yeah, pretty difficult line, I would say. Actually, quite a nice exercise as well. But I was thinking about this, and it's probably the better try, because if I bring the king to f6, then always king g5 is coming. It's probably still a draw, but without the pawns being exchanged like in the game, he really needs to be careful here. Like here, rook d3 will come. I don't know, something like king f2, rook d3, even difficult for him to find a move. Maybe he can just stay like this, king g2, king e6, but it looks very ugly. Because whenever king f2 comes, I can even maybe take and go rook h3, yeah, and then pick up the pawn on h5. Still, computer comes up with some defenses here, but quite difficult, I would say. Yeah. So this was another interesting idea. Instead, I went for g6. I think he should take here. Take, and now he went king e1 and h5. And I think he thought at first that this is just a draw with rook d2, because if I take, then it's actually a draw, because he can just go for f3 here, or even just stay. But the thing is that I cannot break through in the on the queen side, and whenever I play h4, he's just going to play g4. well, now I'm not in time. Now he's not in time, but just in general, yeah. Like, let's just say in a position like this, just g4 and it's a draw. For example, yeah, that's enough. But what was not so simple, I thought I could, for example, play rook d3 here. And, well, actually I didn't check this just yet, but I thought this pawn endgame could be winning. A funny thing is that without the pawn being on c4, I thought it's better for me because my king has the possibility to run in on the queen side. I'm quite amazed that this is still a draw. I thought in the game that this could be winning. So how does he defend this? King e3, let's say king d6. Is he gonna play f4 at some point? King d3, king c5, king e2 only move, king c4, now f4 only move. Take, 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 king f3. I'm still not really sure about this. h4, king takes f4. No, this is not the way to go. How do I do this? Maybe can I do this? King c5, king f4, king d6. His pawn on the queen side is worth nothing. So king f5, king e7. Like if he goes for something like this, I mean, I thought those endgames generally are winning for me. But white is barely hanging on, it seems. King e7, king c2. c4 only move to draw. King takes b2, c5. Wow. King d7. This, and barely a draw. Because also my king is very close here. What a line. I mean, this endgame is, yeah. In the game, I thought I have fantastic winning chances here, and I think practically also I do, because all of these moves were not really easy to find. Yeah, like king e2 only move. Yeah, because king e3, I guess. Like what is here now? c6 is winning. Don't ask me why. And if king e2 now, king c4 and f4. Wasn't this the line which we've had earlier? King e2, king c4, f4, and what was it here? E takes f4. No, both. Take, 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 king f3. Now this endgame, why is it winning with a pawn on c6? Hang on. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this other line. It was this, yeah? Huh. And with the pawn on c6, I'm still not fully getting it. So where was this? King e3, c6, king e2. This should be the line, yeah? King c5, king f4. h4, here, king d6, take, king e5, king g5, king e4, king f6, king d3. King here, king c2. Why do I not? Am I just a tempo faster, or what is going on? Because my pawn was on c6. Okay, I mean, I still don't. Is the point that if I take on c7, then I will play c6 immediately, and here the king is not reaching the b7 square. Is that the point? I guess it is. Like here, this endgame is lost because I have queen a8. This is the whole point. And now white does not get this drawing pawn against queen endgame. Okay, that's really, really sick, all of this. But this was difficult. Like in the game, I also thought I could play rook d6 now. And he actually cannot go into the pawn endgame now, because now I don't have the doubled pawns and I can always create another one like this. So even here, he probably needs to keep the rooks on the board. So he realized that and went for f4, which was the best way to defend. And here I think I still have better chances to play for a win. Like rook d3, for example, would be a nice chance, after which he would not be so active like in the game. King f2 would look very natural, but now I can go king f7, king g2, something like, I don't know, king e6 maybe. Still rook f2, I probably cannot do anything in this endgame in general. Rook e3 maybe. Yeah. f5, for example. Should not be enough to win, but probably a better try at this point. Like also instead of h5 maybe. If I go king f7 first, does it make any significant difference? Probably not. You can still go f4. It's gonna be the same. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Like even if I get everything in this endgame, if it's gonna be enough. Definitely unpleasant for white, but it's not like white can maybe even wait like this, which in a game is probably not so easy to do. But at some point, I would be thinking that I can go h4. But yeah, okay, computer is holding this one now. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. In the game, I went h5, f4, king f7, and now rook f2. And after that, I didn't really see anyway, because at first I wanted to go rook, not rook d2, but rook d3, f takes e5, and king e7, which probably was a better try. I mean, in the game, I thought that he would play rook f6, but now I'm seeing that I might actually have winning chances here. g4 is the only move in the position. And rook e3 check, king d2, rook takes e4, take, and now anything, I guess. Yeah, but rook f5, for example. And yeah, not much going on here. But yeah, rook g5, important move. Maybe it doesn't have to go here, but king e6 and rook h5 again now. It's funny that white has to wait with the king. Yeah, the king is fully cut, but I also cannot approach with my king. So that would have been a nicer try for me, because in the game I will tell you what I was thinking about. I was thinking about rook f6, rook takes g3, king f2, h4, and now something like this. And I mean, I was even a bit scared that things would go wrong for me here, but I'm just way too fast, yeah, with the pawns. I thought if he gets all of the pawns on the queen side, I might be risking something, but take and f3 check. Even if my king is not coming, it's just enough with the pawns over there, yeah, and my king is going to come, yeah. Well, that was a bit of a disappointing calculation, honestly. Still, it's maybe not even winning, but okay, it should be obvious that I should not be risking much here, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, here this was my first intention to go for rook d3, but then I was overthinking even down to 1 minute. If I would have played this immediately, it would definitely ask some questions to my opponent. Take king e7 and g4 only move, yeah. And if I take now rook f6, and check here, rook g6, and yeah, again, I cannot take on e5 ever, because then he takes on g4, and otherwise my king cannot really approach. Yeah, and if g4, h4, final question, now again rook f6, yeah, and if g5, rook g6, are there any more tricks to try here? Probably not. h3, just rook g6, and now my white might even be better. g5, rook g6. Yeah, no, not enough, yeah. Yeah, so if he would have found g4, then it would be a draw most likely, unless I'm not seeing anything. But I think, yeah, that was the line. Yeah, rook g5. Yeah, would have been a nice try, and I should have trusted my intuition on that. But instead, then I went for e takes f4. Actually, I was expecting him here to take back with the rook and just go for e5, which I thought was kind of the simplest road to a draw, because people just take both of the pawns. But he took back gf, which is actually also fine. King e2, rook d3, rook h2, and okay, went c6. If I go rook g3, then I did not really see what I'm doing if he just goes king f2 and this. So that's why I didn't go there. c6, I was waiting. Okay, c5 to cover the d4 square, rook d3, h3, final try. But yeah, actually I thought if I could go h4 here, but at this point I was already kind of a bit careful not to overdo things, because it often happened to me that I was over pushing, and that would have really been unfortunate to lose this game, just because yeah, just because I'm tilting, even though I'm probably not risking here anything just yet. But I thought like if he gets c5, somehow h3, probably doesn't get it. Like here I'm just promoting. But yeah, what can he do? Like, maybe give a check, e5, king f7, and cannot even make any progress. Like that's the thing. Cannot get closer with my king. Whenever I go h2, he has rook h4, and apart from that, there's nothing left to be tried here. So I went for this, and here I offered a draw. Actually, if he goes king e3, then I would have just repeated the moves like this as well. But he went king f3, and after this I offered a draw because, okay, it's he's gonna take, and here there's nothing much going on. He can give perpetual, for example, or yeah, it's just a draw, like we used to say. Yeah, so overall, bit of a disappointing game. I mean, he defended well when it counted, but still, like if we look at the time situation and generally at the position, like around here, I have like double his time in general and a very pleasant position. Would have been definitely nice to win this game, even in the rook endgame. Like I would say that usually I should be able to press a little bit more out of that. But anyway, I mean, he did defend well. Credit goes out to him, and I'm still in a good position overall in the tournament. I think I'm leading by at least, I think by half a point over my opponent from today. Of course, if I would have won, it would be nice. Then I would probably be the tournament winner already. But yeah, it is what it is. Still, shouldn't complain. Like also yesterday, game could have gone differently. Now I'm in an acceptable position in the tournament. I'm even losing some rating with 6.5 out of 8, which is yeah, which is how it is if you're #1 seed in a tournament by quite a big margin. But like my goal for the tournament was anyway to keep it under control, and yeah, it's a difficult task to even maintain the rating in this field. I think is an achievement which I can be proud of until now. Yeah, that was it for today. Recap was already quite long. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Today was the last commentary with Jose. Let me know how you guys enjoyed the commentary of this event. Tomorrow there's not going to be any commentary anymore, but I'm still going to stream my game. Yeah, looking forward to your feedback. Anyway, that was it for today, and I am going to see you guys tomorrow after the final round. See you then.